Year to date, Palantir stock is up by 138.65%. But over the past 1 month, it's not had such a good time and is currently down by 6.44%. This week in particular is down by nearly 18%, with the majority of those losses coming post Q2 earnings. So now a lot of people are starting to question whether this is really bad news and whether we should all begin to worry. Or is this actually a healthy pullback and a period of time that we get as an investor to actually buy into the stock at lower prices should we want to? And we're going to get onto all of that in this video. So Q2 earnings were highly anticipated amongst the Palantir investor community, and they came out on the 8th of August post-market close. For those of you who didn't manage to catch the Palantir earnings, all in all, it went pretty well. Commercial and government revenue increased year over year, and they ended the quarter with a 38% increase in customer numbers. They saw a 13% increase in Q2 revenue, and they matched EPS estimates. They lifted their forecast for annual revenue, and they also announced a $1 billion share buyback scheme. This came as quite a shock to a lot of people. I know I was definitely not expecting this one. A lot of people are concerned about this news, saying that Palantir should be focusing on using their free cash for other things and not actually using it for share buybacks, and that a buyback is an irresponsible way to utilize their capital. And I've also seen the notion of why would Palantir be buying shares back at the current price when they could have been purchasing them back earlier on this year when they were sitting around the $8 mark. And these are quite fair concerns. But one thing to point out here is that Palantir are not under any deadline as to when they must execute this share buyback plan. They don't need to buy back shares this month, next month. There's no deadline on this at all. And there's no minimum purchase requirement either. So they can just decide what they want to do when they want to do it based on market conditions and other factors that will come into this as well. But another way to look at this is that they are signaling that they are confident in their long-term growth abilities and therefore the stock price increase that they expect to see in the future. And they are also indicating that they have the flexibility to buy shares with no issues of cash availability. This could also be showing that they believe their stock is currently undervalued. Also, $1 billion sounds absolutely massive, but it's actually a really small percentage of their overall market cap. And I don't believe that this buyback scheme suddenly means that they are going to have no cash available to reinvest into themselves for long-term future growth. They also managed to deliver their third quarter of GAAP profitability and continue to expect to remain GAAP profitable ongoing from here. This means that we can expect, providing Q3 earnings in November are good, for them to be eligible for S&P 500 inclusion very, very soon, perhaps even in 90 days time. This is so exciting, and it's an absolutely huge catalyst for this company and this stock. And also, it's just a really, really significant achievement for any company to get into the S&P 500 index. It firstly will increase the global visibility and credibility, and it sort of serves as a stamp of recognition. It also helps to attract new investors, especially institutional ownership. So institutional ownership will go up and money will come in as those mutual funds, those pension funds, these institutional owners start to buy S&P 500 funds and continue adding to their S&P 500 ownership. And now with Palantir, or in the future with Palantir in those S&P 500 funds, Palantir stock could potentially go up due to this. If this happens, alongside other factors that we'll discuss in just a minute, there is a potential for the stock price to shoot right up, which may mean that the current prices, which seem quite high at the moment given the sudden increase that we've seen over the last 1 year period, they may be long gone. But of course, we don't really know what's going to happen. No one does. The important thing is not to try and predict the stock rises and the stock dips, but instead just think about whether you have conviction for this company and why. And then just buy in at regular intervals and try your best to accumulate as many shares as you can with a long-term mindset. And perhaps you'll want to buy in more when the stock price dips, but that's a strategy that needs to be yours. But it's also important to look ahead and think about what stock price catalysts this company has upcoming in its future, short term and long term, because it's these that will help determine and keep your conviction, which will then help you buy extra additional shares when the stock price crashes and everyone's freaking out. And that's really hard to psychologically do. Once you make this switch in your head and you start seeing market crashes happening to your favorite stocks as an opportunity rather than freaking out about it because you've got your long-term mindset, because you've got conviction, and you're just viewing it as an opportunity to accumulate more shares at a cheaper price, you will quite literally start longing for red days. Anyway, we heard some quite positive things from the Q2 earnings, yet the stock price still tanked following them. And I think this was because a lot of people started freaking out about that $1 billion share buyback scheme that was announced. And maybe some people were also not feeling that confident about the earnings results that were released. Perhaps they were expecting way more from Palantir here. So they might have been losing their confidence in this stock a little bit and then perhaps going on to sell out of their position, which of course brings the stock price down. Perhaps there was also a lot of trading that was happening around the earnings. I know Palantir is obviously a very volatile stock, so I imagine it does make a good trade. I'm personally not really into that and I don't really know much about it, but I can definitely see that happening here. I think naturally all things that go up must come down. It's just the law of gravity, and this is true for stocks as well. They cannot just continuously go up indefinitely forever. That's pretty much unheard of. And a pullback of some sort after the massive surge that we've seen with Palantir stock is healthy. And it really makes sense considering just how quickly this stock jumped up in price. I've seen a lot of people say recently that they wish Palantir would just take a dip so they could use this as an opportunity to accumulate more shares. And now this is happening, and it might even continue to happen. I do wonder if those people will be the people that buy or the people that freak out and suddenly don't want to buy this stock anymore. We can't miss the general market either, because this definitely has an impact on the stock price too. It's a bit crazy out there right now in terms of the overall market. And recently as well, the Moody report has come out, which downgraded, I think, 10 US regional banks. So that's definitely having a play on the overall market situation. Another big positive sign, in my opinion, is that the non-US government growth was really good. And it actually outpaced the US government growth during the quarter. Now, the non-US government revenue is quite insignificant and it does make up such a small percentage of Palantir overall, but it's still really interesting. And I think it's a really good sign that they were able to grow their international government clients, which I imagine is a pretty hard thing to do. But more importantly, was just how clear they were in their bullish stance for their AIP, their artificial intelligence platform. I will link this letter below in the description if you want to check it out for yourself, but let me just read what Alex Karp said about AIP in the recent letter to shareholders about the Q2 earnings. He said, "We are currently in discussions with more than 300 additional enterprises to deploy AIP within their organizations, all of which are searching for an effective and secure means of adapting the largest large language models for use on their internal systems and proprietary data." He went on to say that the scale of the opportunity that lies ahead has increased significantly in recent months, and they intend to capture it. Us as investors already knew that their AIP, their artificial intelligence platform, was really gaining momentum. We saw this starting to really build during their AIP Conde, where we heard from lots of different clients that they have about how AIP is really changing their businesses for the better. But I'm very excited to hear about this again and to hear just how in demand this piece of software really is. And I believe that this could be their flagship piece of software that really propels into massive future growth. But there's just two more things that I believe Palantir investors should know about here. The first one is that yesterday we got the news that Palantir has yet again entered into another multi-year partnership, this time with Azure Energy. I really hope I'm saying that right, which is actually a joint venture. It's equally owned by BP, which I'm sure you've all heard about, and Eni, E-N-I, which is Italian, I believe. It's an Italian-based oil company. And these are big names. The reason for this is for Palantir to help them manage their large daily quantities of oil barrels while supporting their growth and optimizing upstream production. Basically, from what I can tell, Foundry will be helping Azure Energy manage and optimize their data more effectively and more efficiently. No figures have been attached to this deal from what I can find, but obviously it will be good for Palantir from a finance point of view, but also it's another opportunity, another company for which they can hopefully push their other products, especially AIP too. And of course, it's another foot in the door. It's another company in the oil and energy sector in general that Palantir are working with. And it's a sector, of course, with a lot of money and a lot of power. So maybe because of this and because of other partnerships that they have going on, they will be able to get more and more and more companies signing on board due to the increased pressure and competition from this sector and other sectors. Their TAM, their total addressable market, is absolutely huge, and it's just another sign of that, really. The second piece of news that you may have already seen is that Cathie Wood from ARK Invest is now buying Palantir shares. They're back in to this position. Personally, what I've been doing with Palantir, and my patrons will already know this because I share all of my market buys and market sales in real time with them. And if you want to check that out, you will also get access to the Discord, which we chat about Palantir and all other stocks and invest in every single day. But anyway, what I've been doing is I've been consistently buying this stock. But I have been increasing my buys during this market dip. So let me know how you feel about this in the comments below. Do you think this market dip is just Palantir stock recoiling, ready to really spring off with all the upcoming catalysts, or do you have your concerns? Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in another one very shortly.